The Trump administration deporting a Venezuelan asylum seeker who has no criminal record and who his family says is not a gang member. It is believed he is now in a notoriously dangerous prison in El Salvador.
And this is the internal government list of all the men who were placed on those controversial deportation flights to the Salvadoran prison. Trump officials refused to release the list.
Is it your position that a member of Tren de Aragua who is in our United States illegally should be allowed to commit crimes limitlessly until such time as that individual is incarcerated?
Wait, did a Trump advisor just praise El Salvador's detention videos that look like ISIS propaganda? Mike Waltz went on national TV to celebrate these disturbing tactics as a model for America's immigration policy. And Laura Ingraham backed him up, telling migrants to self-deport or face being shipped to El Salvador's infamous prisons. When did Fox News start openly cheering for authoritarianism? Let's break down what's happening. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Did you catch Laura Ingraham the other night? She was practically threatening migrants with torture videos if they don't pack up and leave. It's like Fox News has gone from biased reporting to full-on cheerleading for concentration camps.
There are families from some of the people that were on those flights to El Salvador that claim that they're not criminals, they're not members of Tren de Aragua, of MS-13. What can you tell them, and what guarantees can you give them?
These were a bad group. This was a bad group, and they were in bad areas, and they were with a lot of other people that were absolutely killers, murderers. Well, I was told that they went through a very strong vetting process, and that that will also be continuing in El Salvador. And people that were really bad, with the worst records you've ever seen. But we will continue that process.
What's particularly disturbing is how casually Fox hosts discuss El Salvador's mega prison as some kind of blueprint for America. Mike Waltz straight up called videos from El Salvador's government ISIS-style torture videos, but not as criticism. No, he was praising them as effective deterrents. Imagine that, a congressman on national television applauding propaganda videos that mirror terrorist tactics. And the language these Fox pundits use? They're not even trying to hide their dehumanization campaign anymore. They regularly call migrants savages and barbarians on primetime television. This isn't just offensive, it's a deliberate strategy to strip people of their humanity. Once you convince your audience that certain people aren't really people, you can justify pretty much any treatment of them. But wait, it gets even more concerning when Fox hosts start dismissing basic constitutional rights. They act like due process is some annoying technicality we can just ignore whenever convenient. Legal experts keep reminding everyone that deportation without hearings raises serious constitutional questions, especially for asylum seekers, but Fox hosts wave this away like they're swatting flies. What about the tattoos, they'll say, as if having body art is somehow grounds for shipping someone to a foreign prison without evidence or a hearing. Never mind that pesky Fifth Amendment guaranteeing that no person shall be deprived of liberty without due process of law. According to Fox, some people just don't deserve those protections.
U.S. District Judge James Boasberg is trying to determine whether the administration defied his order as he faces ongoing attacks from President Trump and his administration. A federal judge is giving the Trump administration more time to provide critical information about deportation flights that took place this past weekend.
I don't know who the judge is, but he's radical left. He was Obama appointed. And he actually said we shouldn't be able to take criminals, killers, murderers, horrible, the worst people, gang members, gang leaders, that we shouldn't be allowed to take them out of our country.
The conditions in El Salvador's prisons that Fox hosts love to showcase are precisely what happens when you abandon due process. Reports show countless individuals locked up without fair hearings or any chance to contest their detention. But this inconvenient reality doesn't fit the narrative, so it gets ignored while they show footage of tattooed inmates crammed into cells. What's truly alarming is where this kind of rhetoric leads a democratic society. When major media outlets normalize extreme punitive measures against marginalized groups, when they celebrate the bypassing of legal protections, they're not just reporting news with a conservative slant, they're actively promoting authoritarian ideals under the thin disguise of law and order. Make no mistake, what we're witnessing on Fox News isn't just tough immigration talk, it's the open promotion of fascist principles. Dehumanization of the other, dismissal of legal rights, celebration of extreme punishment, and worship of strongman tactics. All while their hosts smile and nod as if discussing nothing more controversial than the weather forecast. But Fox has an even more radical plan brewing. Why not just hand over America's entire budget to billionaires? That's right. After cheering on concentration camps, they're now suggesting we should strip Congress of its constitutional power of the purse. Laura Ingraham actually said with a straight face, "You need the oligarchs and the billionaires to deal with it," arguing that those poor elected officials in Congress are just too politically motivated to make budget decisions.
Now to the Trump administration's immigration crackdown as it escalates its attacks on a federal judge in the legal battle over the deportation flights of hundreds of Venezuelans.
Judge James Boasberg was appointed by former President Obama and is currently serving as the chief judge of the U.S. District Court in Washington, D.C.
The Trump administration is now facing a federal judge's deadline in just hours. The court demanding more information about these deportation flights and whether they violated the judge's order.
Our lawyers are working on this. We will answer appropriately.
Because obviously, having unelected rich people control government spending is totally less political than letting your elected representatives do their literal constitutional job. And it's like Fox News is running some kind of bizarre game show called How to Destroy Democracy in 10 Easy Steps. First they came for the migrants, and now they're coming for Congress itself. Laura Ingraham didn't even try to hide what she was suggesting when she complained that politicians have too much stake in the game and will not cut anything that will hurt them politically. Translation: your representatives care too much about what voters think. The horror. Let's break down how absolutely bonkers this idea is. Article 1 of the Constitution, that document Fox News hosts pretend to worship, specifically gives Congress the power of the purse. This isn't some optional feature of our government, it's a fundamental principle of our democracy. Congress controls federal spending because, wait for it, they're accountable to voters. That's literally the whole point of having elected officials make these decisions instead of, say, Elon Musk or whoever happens to be really rich this week. But according to Fox's twisted logic, billionaires would somehow make apolitical decisions about your tax dollars. Because billionaires have absolutely no political interest whatsoever, right?
The judge in this case is essentially trying to say that the president doesn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists from our American soil. And it's very, very clear that this is an activist judge who is trying to usurp the president's authority. Under the Alien Enemies Act, the president has this power, and that's why this deportation campaign has continued. This judge does not have that authority. It is the opinion of this White House and of this administration, and that's why we're fighting this in court.
They're just floating above it all, completely neutral about tax rates, regulations, government contracts, and all the other stuff that has zero impact on their wealth. Makes perfect sense if you don't think about it for even half a second. What Fox is really selling here is oligarchy, rule by the wealthy, dressed up as some kind of practical solution. It's so absurd and it's such a betrayal of the Constitution, Ingraham claimed, somehow managing to perfectly describe her own proposal while thinking she was criticizing Congress. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so dangerous. This isn't just a random bad idea. It's part of a systematic effort to convince viewers that democratic institutions don't work. First, tell people their votes don't matter. Then suggest that elected officials are all corrupt and incompetent. Finally, offer up billionaires as the saviors who can fix everything if we just hand them the keys to the kingdom. It's authoritarianism 101, just with a Fox News logo slapped on it. What's particularly rich about this whole thing is that Fox hosts love to wrap themselves in the flag and the Constitution when it suits them. But here they are, casually suggesting we toss aside one of the most basic constitutional principles because, checks notes, Congress is too political.
And this judge, Judge Boasberg, is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president. And let me just say something to that effect, Garrett. 67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
That's like saying courts are too focused on laws or that restaurants are too obsessed with food. Speaking of courts being too focused on laws, Fox News has declared an all-out war on the judicial branch whenever it doesn't bend to Trump's will. When judges dare to enforce legal limits on Trump's power, Fox hosts transform into constitutional scholars with very selective reading comprehension. Suddenly, these lifetime-appointed legal experts become nothing more than stupid local judges, or their favorite dismissive label, Obama judges. Laura Ingraham, Fox's queen of casual authoritarianism, recently referred to Judge John McConnell as an unelected Obama judge in Rhode Island who had the audacity to order Trump to unfreeze federal spending. The horror, a judge interpreting laws. According to Ingram, this judge was trying to stop a duly elected president from doing what the voters elected him to do. Interesting how Fox thinks voters specifically elected Trump to ignore the law, isn't it? Judge James Bosberg has been a particular target of Fox's judicial hit jobs.
Do you think it's a good use of Congress's time and the president's political capital to try to impeach and remove a federal judge, which would take 67 votes you're unlikely to get in the Senate?
60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges. Well, look, the president has made it clear that he believes this judge in this case should be impeached, and he has also made it clear that he has great respect for the Chief Justice John Roberts, and it's incumbent upon the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges.
His crime? Blocking some of Trump's attempts to deport migrants without proper legal process. Fox personalities didn't criticize his legal reasoning or cite contradicting precedents. Nope, they went straight for claiming he's interfering with presidential authority by checking notes, applying existing laws. Crazy, right? The attacks get even wilder when Fox commentators start suggesting these judges are basically enemy combatants against democracy itself. Take Caroline Leavitt, who declared with a straight face, "We have unfortunately shown a judicial branch that has gotten so out of control. If we live in a country where the will of the American people is subverted by a single judge in a single court, we no longer live in a democracy." That's right. According to Fox logic, when judges enforce the law, it's actually destroying democracy. Makes perfect sense if you don't think about it at all. Perhaps the most jaw-dropping moment came when Alina Habba, one of Trump's attorneys, went on Fox and expressed complete disbelief that judges could challenge presidential power at all. Her exact words? "It's unthinkable that judges can do that." What's that exactly? Their constitutionally mandated job? It's like a football player saying it's unthinkable that referees can throw penalty flags. Actually, that's exactly what they're supposed to do when you break the rules. Fox has also pushed the bizarre claim that judges have no business weighing in on foreign policy matters. Their hosts regularly argue that no judge should be able to control foreign policy for the entire country. This conveniently ignores the last 200-plus years of American history, where courts have indeed reviewed executive actions in foreign policy when they potentially violate laws or constitutional rights. But those pesky details don't make for good outrage television. What we're witnessing is a systematic campaign to undermine public trust in an independent judiciary. By framing judicial decisions as political rather than legal, Fox is training its viewers to reject court rulings they don't like as illegitimate. The goal isn't subtle. Create a public that believes presidential power should face no legal constraints. When a judge rules against Trump, it's not because of legal principles or constitutional limits. It must be because they're politically biased Obama judges who hate America. Let's be real, what we're seeing on Fox News isn't just conservative bias anymore. According to media ethics experts, they're flat out promoting authoritarian ideas that are actively threatening our democratic institutions. It's like watching democracy get mugged in broad daylight while the network cheers on the attacker. The scariest part? It's working. Polling data shows a massive drop in public trust in our democratic institutions, and Fox is pouring gasoline on that dumpster fire every night. They're not just reporting news with a conservative flavor, they're serving up a dangerous cocktail of fascist talking points with a smile. So, next time you see these talking heads attacking the foundations of our democracy, remember what you're actually watching: propaganda designed to normalize authoritarianism. The million-dollar question now is whether enough Americans will wake up and smell the dictatorship before we lose what makes America, well, America.